Neal, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks for having me on. First, I got to say, and I said it before, thank you for doing what you do all these years of entertaining people with great stories, with the chance to actually have conversations about things that people want to talk about. So thank you.
I appreciate that. I enjoy this part of it. There were a few rocky moments along the way to this down this path, but I think we're on some settled ground now. So I appreciate it.
Congratulations.
That's what I love, though, is actually getting to talk to people a little bit beyond the 5-minute interview. And I wanted to, obviously, loved the movie The Shift. Told people about that as we started the show, and I want to get to that because it hit me from so many different directions, and I want to talk to you about that. But I want to just start sort of at the beginning. I was excited to see you're a fellow New Englander. You grew up on Cape Cod. Tell me about your upbringing a little bit. I think your parents owned a motel. What was it that got you into acting, and what about your childhood that kind of
I'm such a Cape Codder. I'm still wearing Nantucket red pants.
That's what I'm talking about.
Tell myself, you can take the
wicked
kid out.
That's wicked awesome.
Wicked awesome pants. It was a great childhood. I got to grow up in a small motel that my mom and dad owned in Cape Cod, and myself and my 5 siblings. I was
what
the youngest.
Town?
In Hyannis.
Okay.
So from a very young age, I was always working at the motel until I left to move to Hollywood. And it was just the characters that I draw from are probably mostly the characters that I met as a kid at the Rainbow Motel in Hyannis. And
does it still exist?
No, it's a bank now. And one of my daughter Clover the other day said, "Dad, when you really make it, why don't we go back and bulldoze that bank that is now on the property of the Rainbow and then rebuild the Rainbow the way you remember it?" I was like,
that would be cool. I grew up in Rhode Island. There's something about New England towns, and I think the Cape in particular. I love going out there. I got a bunch of buddies that I served on active duty with that are cops out there, and it's just it's a great place. I imagine to grow up, not that different probably than Rhode Island. We all still cheer for the Red Sox and the Patriots,
right.
But anyway. So what got you into acting?
I think being the youngest of 6 kids, I always wanted to figure out what was my niche. You know, my brothers were all great athletes. My sister was a great athlete, also a great student, and they all did very well. So I had to try to figure out what my niche was. And for me, it was baseball, hockey, and acting. And those were my 3 loves as a kid. And acting just kind of started to push forward. When I was on stage, something happened when I played Snoopy in You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown at Barnstable High School. When I was
no way.
Yeah, that kind of hit me, that the audience was, and I remember it was yesterday, Sean. It was like the audience was so intent in listening to what I was saying. And I was like, wow, I don't have to fight for attention. They actually listen to me. Like, you don't have to fight over everyone at the dinner table to get the extra piece of meat type of thing. And I have that work ethic from my dad and my mom that if, like he always said, if they give you $1, give them $2 worth of effort. And that's what I did that night. And I got a standing ovation at the end of the night. And I was like, I guess I'm pretty good at this. And then I kept doing it. And I realized that this was probably the biggest gift that God gave me. And it's awesome. It's the only job I've ever had. And when I first moved out to Hollywood, I started doing baseball movies. And
no way.
And yeah. I played Lou Gehrig in the Babe Ruth Story was my first movie. It was for NBC.
Which one?
Lou Gehrig in the Babe Ruth Story for NBC.
Oh, wow.
And
so I know we always hear about people who, if they're in music, they go to Nashville or where country music, Nashville. Or when you go to LA, like, what was it like for you then? I mean, were you just literally pounding the pavement going from audition to audition? Did you have a connection?
It happened fairly quickly. You know, my first audition really was Lou Gehrig in the Babe Ruth Story. And it was all because my cousin read in the Boston Globe that they were having an open call for Lou Gehrig in the Babe Ruth Story. He's like, you got to go out there and audition for this thing. This is meant for you.
Right.
And the next day I got in a plane and I went out there and auditioned for it and I got the part. And
no way.
I thank my cousin Liam Monahan at the Hyannis Travel Inn, who owns a Hyannis Travel Inn Hyannis, for putting me on that path. And ever since then, you know, baseball was very good to me in the film world, and Angels in the Outfield and all kinds of other sports characters. And then it all kind of led to me playing Buck Compton in Band of Brothers. And that was my shot at the title, and I wasn't going to relinquish it. And the best part about doing Band of Brothers was I met my wife, Reve, the very first day I got there on St. Patrick's Day in 2000. So good day for that.
What was she doing?
She was doing public relations for different nightclubs in town. And that night, the door girl was not there, so she had to be there in her stead. And I got out of that black London cab. I remember, again, it was like crazy yesterday. And there was this 6'3" woman with this long black coat and these black boots, and I was just smitten. I couldn't even speak. I was just like, "What is that?" And that was it. I knew at first sight this was going to be the woman I was going to spend the rest of my life with. The guys were like, "Are you out of your mind? You're in London for a year doing Band of Brothers." I'm like, "No, this is the one."
So do you realize, like, people will tell you these stories? I went to 57 different auditions, and then I got a bit piece in a commercial, and that commercial, and you were like, "Hey, I went to Hollywood. I got the first part that I wanted in a film, in a subject that I love. Then I met my wife." I mean, it's like after the first year, you must be like, "This is a great town."
Yeah, it's been, and when I didn't feel like being in LA anymore, I'd go back home to Cape Cod for a few months and work at the motel and hang out with my family, just kind of rejuvenate it to get that kind of core values back into my system, into my soul, really. And then I go back out to Hollywood and do some work, and then go back. And then when my mom passed away, I didn't have that thing to go back to anymore. And it was a really strange adjustment for me in my mid-20s. And I was like, well, what's next? And then I met Reve doing Band of Brothers, and 150 movies and 1,000 hours of television ever since we met. And I think that I'm probably the most blessed guy on the planet, and have 5 incredible kids, and get to be on your show, Sean, and talk about what I do for my living. Are you kidding me? I'm a very fortunate guy.